You are listening to the Urban Sports Scene. We're also part of Empire Media at empiremedia.com. I'm Wole and I'm your host. Ray Jeezy is out. Oh, man. This is a lot going on. This is going to be our show to talk about some Commanders news. It's like it's a Commanders special. It's like our second Commanders special. I mentioned Empire Media. Empire Media hosts multiple DMV sports podcast shows, such as the John Kine Report, hosted by ESPN Washington Commanders insider John Kine, and Jones Football, hosted by USA Today insider Mike Jones. And you can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Make sure you subscribe to the Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the red subscribe button and like this video. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on IG at Urban Sports Scene and like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. All right, man, let's get into our tradition, the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We are scheduled to have Sports Journeys Washington Commanders reporter Lake Lewis Jr. Join me to talk about the Commanders hiring Kliff Kingsbury as their new offensive coordinator. All right, so while we are waiting for Lake to jump on, let me first talk about like the hiring. So let's get into it a little bit. The Commanders have named Kliff Kingsbury as their new offensive coordinator. So my thoughts on the matter, real quick, before Lake jumps on. I'm not in love with the hire. It's not a hire that I kind of fancy, to be honest with you. But I'm like most Washington Commanders fans, Washington Redskins fans, whatever. I'm like a wait and see approach. So I just want to let's see what happens with the Commanders in that situation. I mean, see if he pans out as a play caller. I wasn't a big fan of what he did in Arizona because everything was kind of tailored for a particular quarterback, and it wasn't like Kliff Kingsbury is what I saw in college, and it's a guy that I've watched play quarterback at Texas Tech under the Mike, and he's under the Mike Leach tree. He's a bright mind, and at that time when he was hired as the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, he was under that mold of the Sean McVay thing. Like, okay, Sean McVay was now the trendy thing, the trendy topic, and he was the guy that everybody wanted to kind of copy. Everyone wanted to be the next Sean McVay. So he didn't really pan out that way. Kyler Murray, he drafted Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had some success, but again, everything was tailored for Kyler Murray. And when that didn't really work out as a play caller, as an offensive genius in the NFL, it didn't pan out. But also, and people will come back and say his track record with quarterbacks. He's had Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and he has Caleb Williams now. Though there are guys out there that in the college ranks he has been very effective. He has been very successful with, right, molding and grooming to some of our better quarterbacks in the some of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So yes, in terms of what he can do helping out the college quarterback, yeah, hands down, he's one of the best, one of the better guys to bring out to be out there in the college game. But the NFL is a whole different monster. So that's just my concern with Kliff Kingsbury. It's not that I don't think that he's not capable or he can't get the job done. It's just at the same time, we're looking at a guy that, in my opinion, that I'm not like totally sold on, especially when you have so many guys out there that we've seen under different trees, or we've always talked about, yeah, we want to give somebody else when we want to run this type of offense. We want to run that type of offense. I wasn't a big fan of Ben Johnson, and whatever you lie on with that. But what I liked about the Ben Johnson thing in terms of what it differed from what Eric Bieniemy was doing here in DC, it was that Ben Johnson did run the football. So I never argued that point, with anybody. Like if someone came into me and was like, I want Ben Johnson because he ran the football a lot, or he had a balanced offense, I would never argue against that, because to me that's a valid point. Like Ben Johnson it was balanced. He had a balanced offense. He ran the football. He had Gibbs and Montgomery, and those two guys they took the rock, and they were effective running the football. So I heard a lot of Commander fans wanting that, but then when you hear Kliff Kingsbury, it's a little different because he's a guy that's in that system of airing it out. Now I know people have said that when in Arizona he ran the football, they ran the football effectively. They were a top 10 rushing offense 3 out of 4 seasons while in Arizona. But you also got to add into that he had Kyler Murray, a guy that was dynamic running the football. So it does kind of help out your run game numbers. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting situation. And then you add into the fact that how he's going to run. How will he work with a young quarterback? How will he work with, say, whoever the starting quarterback is? If it's going to be Drake May, if it's going to be Caleb Williams, and we'll get into that later. If it's going to be a Caleb Williams, which I doubt it will be, or will it be a Jaden Daniels? Like, how does he work with that quarterback in the NFL game? He had a falling out with Kyler Murray in the towards the end part of his season of his career in Arizona. So we'll see. We'll see how that really pans out. But I have a lot of questions about Kliff Kingsbury. But it's wild because I used to like Kingsbury when he was when he first got the job in Arizona. Though I did like him. I thought he would be a guy innovative. He would be here for years to come. I gave him an opportunity to see what he can do with the Kyler Murray. I like that marriage, but it didn't pan out. Like I said earlier, it didn't pan out. So just interested to see how this pans out. If this is going to pan out with being with Dan Quinn. I think the blessing with having for Kingsbury with Dan Quinn is that he's going to be with a guy who's going to own that defense. I mean, he's a head coach, but he's going to own the defense, and he's going to probably give them a defense that can give the offense some time to kind of adjust and kind of get their bearings. You know what I mean? Like last season with Eric Bieniemy, which I know he's got a lot of negative flack, and we'll talk about Eric Bieniemy and comparing it to coordinators, but when you look at what Eric Bieniemy had to kind of work around with a bad defense, knowing that he had to, be in shootouts, or he had to like maintain the fort or whatnot. It was difficult. Like, and then you're doing it with a first year starter. So what I do like in this situation is you got a proven track record. You have a guy with a proven track record with a Dan Quinn, who can kind of give Kingsbury an opportunity to get settled and get situated as the play caller. So he will to me have an easier time compared to EB, not because of like talent or whatever, but just that, if you have a defense that I believe that Dan Quinn's going to make this defense 10 times better. You're going to have a defense now that is capable to keep your team in ball games. There's not going to be that much pressure on the offense to try to score or try to maintain or kind of be in a shootout or just try to keep the team close. Like now you have a defense that I believe that you can rely on, especially if you're going to have a rookie quarterback in this situation. I think then that will help. I think Lake's trying to get on. Will help the team. Like will help Clint. Oh, here I think we got Lake. I think we finally got Lake. Help Kliff Kingsbury out a little bit. But let me introduce my guest. All right, my guy. Right now we have Sports Journey's Washington Commanders reporter Lake Lewis Jr. on the show. What's going on, Lake?
What's going on, my friend? How you been, man?
Good, man. I wanted to do a show tonight, because I was like, all right, I didn't get an opportunity to talk about Kliff Kingsbury, and I'm really interested in your mind in terms of your thought process on this hire. So off the rip, man. When you heard the news, what were your thoughts? Are you a fan of this hire?
Of Kingsbury?
Yeah.
I'm 100% a fan of it.
Okay. I'm surprised. All right, go ahead.
I mean, I look at it like, both you and I weren't big Ben Johnson guys.
Yeah.
And when it didn't happen, fans were like ready to jump off the nearest bridge. Mm-hmm. And I understand that they wanted young, they wanted innovative offense. Well, hell, this dude is it. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that has all the innovative offensive styles, and you've heard defensive coordinators say it was tough to game plan against his offenses. I think if you're looking at how did he do as a coach in the NFL, I mean, they made the playoffs one year, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But I think that if you just bring him in the building to be exactly what he's great at, is just offense, and he doesn't have to worry about special teams, defense, game planning, being the CEO of a company, he can just be a guy that manages his wing. I think he'll do okay. And I think that that's what this offense, they decided not to go with EB. So because of that, I still wanted to see somebody that's a little bit ahead of the curve as far as what they do on the offense. So I like the move.
Okay, so all right, so for you, because I'm like, so I'm gonna let you know, I'm in between the move, to be honest with you, because you mentioned EB. That's the thing. I think that, and I get a lot of flack for it, but at the end, like when I look at EB situation and then comparing the two, it's not. All right, but I'll put it this way: with Ben Johnson, I get why people wanted him, even though I wasn't a big fan of him. I get because there's a difference between the two philosophies, right? With Ben Johnson, we saw a team that ran the football more, right? We saw a team that ran the football more, and we already know that that's what Washington fans want. They want to see their team run the football a lot. We've seen that. We know that we watch social media everywhere. It's like, let's get back to traditional Washington Commanders, Redskins football. Let's run the football. So I get that. But then when you're going to a guy that, to me, he's innovative, but he has a reputation of being more of a passing offense. Though it's not correct. I know you're gonna go with the Russian thing. I know that number.
They was top 10.
Top 10. Yeah, I know. So I'll let you respond to that. But I'm like, in my mindset is like, well, you had a guy who EB who threw the football a lot. You know what I mean? So and he had to do it with the first year starter in year one, and like, that's complicated. It's hard enough, to be honest with you, year one. I get but again, I get people's problems with EB. I get it. Like, I'm not here to say that EB did a great job. He did a bad job. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't the greatest job for EB. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I'm keeping 100 with y'all. I am keeping 100 with y'all. But I don't know if Kingsbury is that much different. I don't know. That's just me. So I'll let you respond to what I just said.
I feel you, man. And we all know what the elephant in the room is, and you want to see one of our own get a fair opportunity.
Yeah.
Eric bet on himself, and it didn't work out because the people that he was basically getting in bed with weren't good, and
it's the truth.
He got caught up in that, and so you can't blame Dan Quinn though and say, oh no, not at all. He threw Eric under the bus. I think what it is guys want to bring their own people in. And
I agree.
And they probably had already talked. And when Kingsbury and the whole thing with the Raiders fell apart, Washington was like, look, we lost out pretty much on our first candidate. Our second candidate didn't get off a plane in Seattle. So you had to get somebody that you really were high on, or that maybe slipped through the cracks where you didn't think would be available. And I don't think they thought Kliff Kingsbury would be available, to be honest with you. They thought that Raiders thing was done. I just look at it in these terms. Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it, man. Do not think for a hot second that didn't go into play too. I'm not saying Kingsbury got the job solely because the workout and you can get Caleb. He got it on his own acumen.
Facts.
But the fact that this kind of played out before for him, he had history with Kyler Murray. You know what I'm saying? In that air raid type of offense, and got him. So I think the similarities is obviously that he and Caleb Williams have a great relationship.
Yeah,
he was out there in USC last year. This Caleb Williams looks just like Patrick Mahomes 2.0 as far as like if you want to talk about who he compares to.
Yeah, who's comparable to? Yeah.
And guess what? Kliff Kingsbury coached Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. So there's a lot of little similarities here. It would be rather disappointing if they didn't get Caleb Williams somehow. But I mean, there's other guys out there.
Yeah.
I keep saying this, my friend, man. Listen, we're boys, man. We go back. I say this all the time. One thing I love about you is you don't mince your words, and I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta say this to the fans though. This whole gloom and doom, never happy, it has to stop.
It has to.
Because I mean, listen, man, you wanted Dan Snyder out of here. He's gone. Now you're trying to get mad at Josh Harris because he didn't do what you wanted. Yeah. You're not the owner of this football team. True. And he hasn't had a chance to see how what he wants to do plays out yet. Mm-hmm. So I keep saying to the fans, you don't have to like everything, but you're not the expert at this. You're not. And you're wearing your heart on your sleeve and not your brain. And I think that you have to give this a fair chance to see how it plays out. If it turns out to be another dud, hell, we lived through them so many times, we'll be used to it. But I don't want to go into another season covering this team thinking it's a dud. I like what I heard from Dan Quinn yesterday. He seemed like a level-headed guy. He just seemed like a football guy. Yeah. And it was way different from Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera had no charisma in his press conferences, none whatsoever. And his first press conference did not leave any of us thinking, we're ready to go, we're ready to go. I know what? Eric Bieniemy's first press conference, introductory press conference, had people ready to run through the ball.
They sure did. They sure did.
I kind of got that vibe from Dan Quinn yesterday, that it's going to be no nonsense, but it's going to be fun for the first time in a long time. It's going to be hard-hitting, serious practices, but it's going to be fun. And let's just see how it plays out, man. I mean, you poached another team's greatest asset from the coaching ranks, which is going to make your unit better and weaken theirs. And it's your arch rival. And this guy's coming into the fold. Well, think about it, bro. He's coming into the fold not really having to do extra homework against the Eagles, extra homework against the Giants as far as personnel. He knows their personnel. Yeah, they're going to have different systems, with Kellen Moore in Philly and new guy in New York, but he still knows their personnel. And last time I looked, Dallas's defense tormented the NFC East this year.
True. Very true. So to that, in terms of, you mentioned Dan Quinn, I think Dan Quinn is actually, and I said this before you came on, I think he makes Kingsbury job a lot easier. And what I mean by that, in comparison to what, and this show has an EB theme. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does. So, but in terms of what EB had to deal with and the pressure of having an offense to try to kind of mask a porous defense, right? I think in this situation with Dan Quinn, I think the defense will be 10 times better. I'm not saying it's gonna be top 10. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be top 5. But it will be so much better to a point where if Kingsbury is struggling, it will mask a lot. It will help him out and help his offense kind of go through the process of becoming the offense that he hopes to be. And I think that a lot of times, what I have an issue, to your point, with this fan base, and is that everybody wants things instantaneously, and it doesn't happen that way. So football is a team game, and I do feel like with Dan Quinn, what he can do on the defensive side of football, if the Commanders' offense struggles a little bit, it'll be masked by how well defense is playing, and then it'll give the offense time to catch up. And I think eventually down the road, his offense will kind of pan out.
That's a great point. And I was thinking about this too. You know what the Commanders need to turn this thing around? It has to be eerily similar to what Houston did. Houston turned it around because their best player on offense and their best player on defense were rookies.
Yes, good point.
And rookies coming from winning situations.
Good point.
All they knew was winning. And they brought that into the pros. And if you're a veteran, 6-year veteran, 7-year veteran, I don't care if you got Pro Bowlers behind your name. If all you've done is loss, you have nothing to say. If a young guy's coming in here and outworking you and outperforming you, you got to fall in line. Washington needs that. They need, whether it's Caleb Williams, whether it's Jaden Daniels, whether it's Drake May. They need a young guy, or maybe Marvin Harrison Jr., who knows? The point is, whoever it is, they need that person to come in and just look the part. Look like, you know what, I'm better than you already, and I haven't even played a game yet. And then guys will fall in tow, because if not, if you draft somebody and they struggle, which we saw with Forbes this year and previous years, Jamin Davis, these guys, there's no reason to get better because you don't see anything that's pushing you to be better. If the guy behind you's not any good, they need to have their young players hit the ground running and it never happened for them under Ron Rivera.
I totally agree. So, like you did mention this a little briefly about, I mentioned Kingsbury and what I think he is, but for you, what is his identity as an offense? Like, what is his offensive identity to you?
I think it's an explosive offense.
Okay.
It's a big play offense. And that's not just lip service. I know everybody wants that, but some guys, their whole offense is predicated on 10-yard gains or more. And that's what he does. He spreads the field. I looked at some film earlier today, actually, and the concepts of how he, gets his best guy in one-on-one coverage. If you're Terry McLaurin, you're going to love this guy because he's going to hide you. He's going to do things to take cover 2 off of you. That you're not going to have a guy over top of you because he's going to spread the field out, but he will turn the ball around and hand it off and run the football. And I like that. I just think we haven't seen a full modern setup. Eric had some concepts in the past game that did open up some things, but Eric just didn't run the football. Let's just call it like it is.
He didn't.
And you had a bruiser back there and Brian Robinson. So I would think with Kliff Kingsbury that they're going to run the football. They're going to make a concerted effort to run it. And in fairness to Eric, not to throw him under the bus or anything, but his offensive line was terrible, and he inherited a terrible line.
Yeah.
So hopefully they know, Dan Quinn knows that because he went up against that line and ate turkey legs on them. So I would hope that they know they got to do better up front if they want to have any hope for anybody. They did, man. They had the chicken to turkey.
They did, man. It was. Oh yeah, I know. That's embarrassing. That was embarrassing. Paul, for you, like Paul say, we will benefit. B-Rob will benefit the most. You agree?
I like that, and I agree. I think that you can get back to doing some of the things. Let's face it, man. It's the NFC East, and what was one of the reasons why Dallas couldn't go far this year and fell apart? You know what it was? They didn't have a running game. So yeah,
that's true.
They couldn't run the football.
Is true.
The Eagles, what killed them and what made things fall apart for them? They couldn't run the football. Yeah. And that's the thing. And when Eagles did run the football this year, I'm not talking about with Miles Sanders. We are, by the way. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about when they didn't run it this year, they lost. And when they didn't have the RPO setups for Jalen Hurts, they lost.
I ain't messing with you. Go ahead.
We're everywhere, man. But
I see how you trying to get Mike over here.
It's everywhere.
I know. I see how you trying to get Micah Parsons over here. So my thought also, so like I think B-Rob can be. I mean, I want B-Rob to be real effective. I root for him, to be honest with you, because I thought he could have been effective with. That was my disappointment with EB, like not to utilize B-Rob the way he could have. I mean, he did a little bit. He did it more in the passing game than I thought he would do with B-Rob. But just as a runner, I wanted him to feature him a little bit more. Yeah, even Gibson, to be honest with you. Yeah. So do you think that B-Rob is the prototypical type? Do you really think he's the prototypical type running back for a Kingsbury offense, or like somebody like Gibson? Because I would normally think a scat back would be his type of guy, but you think B-Rob would be that guy for him?
I'm gonna tell you who I really think could excel in Kingsbury's offense. I think Chris Rodriguez excels.
Really? Okay.
I do, and I say that because Chris to me is a little bit of a combination of both B-Rob and Gibson.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's explosive between the tackles. I mean, he's not breakaway speed, but he's not slow.
Gotcha.
And he's physical. And I think that as he got more touches during the season, you started to see them moving the chains. I mean,
definitely.
Brian does have a tendency at times to dance before he hits the hole.
This is true.
And before he hits a gap, he kind of is like feeling it out. And then, outside of that, he may run up on his lineman, but Rodriguez just seemed like there was something that was there that I just don't think they knew they had. I mean, I just don't think they knew how to use them. So I think collectively, if all three are there, you'd have a complete running back because each guy could do something different and better than the other. So you don't have to go out and find the one guy that has all three of their traits. If you have three guys that can become one, I think it'll be okay.
All right, I got a question from my man D. Mitty. He said, can Sam exist in Kingsbury's offense?
See, I think Sam benefits the most from this.
Ooh, okay. Oh,
believe that.
explain that. I like that. I like that one. Explain.
Yeah, I do. I think that Sam, when you go back to his days at North Carolina, Mac Brown, they kind of spread the football around, and Sam was throwing that thing all over the field. Kingsbury's offense requires you to throw the ball everywhere. You have to be able to have an arm to hit every throw on the tree. And I think Sam has that. Again, it's just a matter of having the time. The thing that Sam struggles with, not when he's running, because he does create like off play type of plays where he runs, but when it's coming to him making an off play,
off schedule
throw, that's where he struggles. And see, that's where a guy like Caleb can come in, a guy like perhaps a Jaden Daniels can come in. They can create more. And I think that that's just the one thing about Sam's game that just will never really be there. He can make off-schedule plays with his legs, but with his arm, that's not his thing.
It's different, right? It's totally different. It's a different beast. So in terms of like, all right, you mentioned these quarterbacks, obviously it's out there. I mean, we all know like the connection with Caleb and Kingsbury. Like everyone's talking about it. I won't lie to you. Like everybody knows. I think Caleb is amazing. I think Caleb is the best quarterback in this draft
by far.
By far. I just don't want him coming here.
Listen, this is the thing. I don't think it's gonna be, honestly, bro. I don't think it's gonna be the rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins, but I don't think it's gonna be that setup.
All right, because I'm scared for the locals, man.
I don't think it's gonna be Chase Young, because this is the thing.
Yeah,
those guys, although they were great high school players and clearly had to be to go to Ohio State, both of them.
Yeah,
they were never the guy in high school. They were great players in high school. They were never the guy. Yeah. Caleb Williams was the #1 recruit in the country. I keep
telling people this.
So he's had this bullseye on him from day one.
Boys and girls football. He's been this guy.
Absolutely. My nephew played with him.
Yes, I know about
and against him because he hooped too.
Yeah, so you hooped too. Yeah, I know.
We're talking about an athlete, man, from DC. And I think this isn't Dan Snyder's Commanders or Redskins. Nobody wanted to play here. They just wanted to get paid. Well, this guy has something about him where he wants to be great. Like he knows who he's compared to. Yeah. And I think he, in his mind, feels like I could be better than Patrick. I know that's just the mentality.
Yeah.
I want that, man. I want that. I'm tired of them having guys that you and I would walk in that locker room after a game and they were in there laughing. They got used to the losing. It became a check to them because that's the only thing they could take pride and benefit in is they got paid because they damn sure weren't doing it on the field. I saw it after the Bears game this year. Guys just got destroyed on a Thursday night at home, national television, in front of your legends, and it's just guys was in the locker room chilling, So it wasn't a team; it was a broken, fractured team. I think a guy like Caleb could come in and excite guys again. The John Allens of the world, Terry McLaurin's would get excited because they're going to see what it's like to be playing with an elite talent, which they never had at that position.
All right, I got another question for you. Paul put it out there. So what is the difference between him and Jaden Daniels? Caleb and Jaden Daniels, what's the difference?
I can tell you, man. First of all, I like Jade.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna let you go first, though.
I like him a lot. But when you look at like what they call in baseball, like a 5-tool guy, Jaden Daniels probably a 4-tool guy. Patrick Mahomes is a 5-tool guy. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, a guy. Caleb Williams is a 5-tool guy because he can make all the throws. He can extend plays. His vision, though, is what separates him from a lot of people. And then the other thing that he has, Jaden Daniels has deep ball accuracy that might be just as good as Caleb. Seriously.
He has good deep ball accuracy.
But the overall accuracy, throwing in tight windows, throwing intermediate routes, touch passes, deep balls, there's nobody that I have covered coming out of college. Probably, I'm going to say this, man. Y'all can think I'm crazy. Not even Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow showed how great his arm was when he, was at LSU. But I'm talking about from day one. The only guy that I can compare Caleb to, just as far as just it. He's not his size, of course, but I'm gonna go Andrew Luck, man. Andrew Luck was a
that's a good one.
prospect.
He was a can't miss prospect.
You knew what you were going to get with him. There was no question marks.
True, I agree.
And people, what did people say about Andrew Luck though? Well, like think about it.
Back then, he
what
was just
the knock on Andrew Luck coming out of Stanford. I remember vividly because I heard it in the comments.
Because he was my first pick overall. Like between him, I always like Andrew Luck. I'm trying to think of the negative thing.
I know
was the mobility. Was the mobility? Was like they tried to use mobility because he was fast
on his game. There was no knock on his game.
Yeah,
He was different. He was a little aloof,
yes, it was.
Little weird.
That's what it was.
And you know that's what they're trying to put Caleb in. They're trying to say he's a little weird. You know, just you know, is he egocentric or whatever? Yeah. What dog do you know does not think highly of themselves?
Yeah, I agree. Paul just like he just dislikes Caleb. I remember Paul. Like I know what Paul's talking about. If Paul's my guy, he dislikes Caleb. he ain't a big Caleb believer. I will say this though. This is my Jaden Daniels comparison. So because I've watched him and I've kind of got the gist of who he is. You know who he reminds me of? I'm glad you mentioned Andrew Luck. You know who he reminds me of?
Who, Jaden?
Yeah, you know who he reminds me of? For real? Because it's not
Lamar. Let me take a guess. Lamar. Lamar is this generation's Mike Vick. They're different.
Exactly. So it's not Lamar. Yes.
So is he an older guy?
No,
throwback.
No, he's young enough. He don't play no more, but he's young enough. No, he don't play anymore, but he's young enough. He's probably in his 30s now. Yeah, he's in his 30s now.
Don't say I was gonna say a young Teddy Bridgewater, but no. Who?
It's more relevant than you would think because you mentioned Andrew Luck, so you can kind of think. You mentioned Andrew Luck. There was somebody right after Andrew.
He reminds you of Robert.
Yep, because he's straight line speed, throws a good deep ball, very similar. It's not
his arm and vision are light years better than Robert's.
I'm talking about like in college, like the Baylor arm. He reminds me of Robert in college. He reminds me a lot of Robert in college.
Yeah, but Robert didn't see the field. Everything Robert did was his athleticism. And
but at Baylor he saw a lot. At Baylor, Baylor was different.
This is the thing. This is the thing with Robert because you know that's my dude.
Yeah,
Robert had 3 first-round wide receivers.
He did.
And he would just throw the ball up because he had the arm strength. And the Kendall Wrights and them guys would just go get the ball.
I agree. But see, Jaden at LSU, and them dudes ain't them dudes
this year. Them dudes at LSU. This is the thing. Jaden Daniels this year, Malik Neighbors, and other dude. He got 2 first-round receivers coming out.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow had 3 first.
I know. I'm saying he got guys. He got guys.
So what did Caleb have this year?
That's why I agree. No, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I agree. That's why I'm saying, like, to me,
because Addison was gone. He was
Addison gone. Like, no. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like. It's the same thing I say with Drake May. That people. That's why I like Drake. And people know I like Drake May because he ain't working with the best. I'm cool. Like he ain't working with the best.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not. There's no knock on Jaden Daniels. It's not. But I do like one. You transferred from Arizona State to come to LSU, and LSU. Sorry, it's a fact. I'm not lying to you, homie. This is what it is. It is wide receiver. It's one of wide receiver use. It is one of them.
It is.
It's one of them. And they
into him transferring there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not.
Kelly was there. I mean, he knew what he was getting into.
Yes. So your numbers are going to be, if you are a talented quarterback. It's going to be better. Caleb, to your point, Lake, ain't had them same dudes anymore. That's why I think they're different. They're different. There's a difference between Caleb and Jaden Daniels. And one, to your point, which I kind of like, I think people overanalyze, like they overanalyze the draft process. Mm-hmm. Like if you consistently have done it throughout your football career from Pop Warner, middle school, boys and girls, high school, 707, college football.
I mean, this guy was the number 1 recruit.
The number 1 recruit in the country. He
goes to Oklahoma.
Starts as a true freshman.
Freshman of the year.
Starts as a true freshman.
Transfers, goes to SC,
yes.
Wins the Heisman.
Yes.
I mean, so people are naturally saying, well, he should have won it again this year. Listen, man, his numbers actually weren't bad.
Yeah,
He had 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions with nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, literally nothing.
And then argument to you too for that, and to add on to that, I would say to people who say about his last year, go to Peyton Manning's last year in college when Charles Woodson won the Heisman, and ask me the year, but what was his year before? The year before was way better than his last year in Tennessee. It's the same thing. It's actually the same exact. Charles Woodson won the Heisman, and Peyton Manning ended up still being a Hall of Famer.
I say this to put everything in proper perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Rotate those guys from their own teams to the other team.
Mm-hmm.
If Drake May was at USC this year, with what Caleb had, is there a big difference in play with USC?
I think it's a big difference. And not a big difference. I think USC is. I mean, they're gonna be a little. They're gonna be worse off. But I think Drake May.
Okay,
Drake
so
May
that's fair.
Yeah,
but that's fair. You said they'll be worse off.
A little off.
Okay. Put Caleb on Jaden Daniels' LSU team. That team's in the playoffs.
He's killing.
Yeah.
He's killing.
Yeah. Put Drake May on LSU.
I think Drake May kills at LSU.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he kills LSU.
But put Jaden Daniels in North Carolina.
I don't know. Because you know why?
Yeah,
because you saw him at Arizona State, and you wouldn't get the same. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think you get to a point where you gotta to your point, late, like you substitute people place to place and see what they do with limited talent. You put Caleb with that LSU squad, you know he's putting them numbers, and you know it's gonna be vicious.
And that's why
you've seen it already.
And that's why your guest had just said that he thinks JD plays better in structure.
Yeah.
No. I mean, he didn't. There was no structure at LSU. It was athletes all over the field.
Yeah.
And you just get the ball out to them. So to me, I think that you have to be upfront here, man.
Mm-hmm.
There has never been in a young person's generation with this team an elite quarterback, except for Robert that 1 year. And last time I looked, they started that year terrible, his rookie year. They went on a run towards the end and made the playoffs. But Robert still wasn't an expert at throwing the football. He was just running past people, and they found their mojo as a team. Okay?
Yeah.
But this franchise has never really seen in the last 2 decades an elite quarterback. Haskins was not an elite quarterback.
Nobody.
He had his limitations. His system kind of helped him at Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think that the 3 of these young guys have elite potential.
I agree. I do agree.
But I think Caleb has generational potential.
Oh, I totally agree. So if Caleb isn't drafted by Washington, does it? Because you got to trade up. There's so many different variables.
I'm trading up. Sorry, man.
I'm just saying there's so many. It may not. Just say it doesn't happen. Say Chicago don't want to. Chicago could be like, because all right, this is my thing. Because a lot of people are like they're putting 2 and 2 together. If I'm Chicago and I believe everything you're saying, and I believe everything I'm saying, I'm not trading Caleb. Because if he's generational, if he's the next Patrick Mahomes,
I'm not trading. Let it be known that he doesn't want to play in
Chicago.
Okay,
that's the only way. But I'm saying
he's going to have to, because this is the thing. What has Chicago done organization-wise that would make you want to go play quarterback there? Because think about it. You didn't equip Justin Fields with everything he needed. I mean, like, seriously, they finally got DJ Moore for him this year, and look at what he did. He looked the part because he had some pieces. Yeah. But overall, they didn't have any weapons, and he suffered for that. Yeah. So now I'm looking at it like, go before that, Mitchell Trubisky. He didn't have any weapons, and he suffered for it. You gotta help your quarterback, man. If you're gonna invest into a top pick to be your quarterback,
I agree with you.
You gotta get him weapons, because he's not gonna be able to come from college to the NFL and do it alone. It don't work like that. Yeah,
I will say this because we just said this, but you put Caleb with DJ. You put Caleb with DJ Moore. It's problems. I'm just telling you, it's problems. It's real problems.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you.
No, I mean, listen, if I'm the Bears, I ain't trading Caleb. I mean, come on, man. Let's just call it like it is. But for the sake of for life here and trying to, finally be relevant with something, I want him here. I'm selfish.
I'm serious. I'm like, hey, I get total control for you for the next 5 years, 4 to 5 years, and I have to like having to give another contract to Fields, and I think Fields is a fine quarterback. I'm gonna be real. I think Fields has gotten better. Like I'm with you about Justin Fields.
I see Justin Fields going to Atlanta.
Yeah, me too. But I'm just saying, like, but bruh, it's just different. You know, it's different levels to this. Like Fields is nice. I think Fields could be really good in the right system, like really good.
You think Justin's as good as Jaden Daniels or Drake May?
I think he's just as good as Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
I think you put him in the right. I think he's just as good as Jay. I think May's a better passer of the football, but that's not a. All right, this is what I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I think you put Justin Fields in the Eagles offense. I think you'll see something totally special. I'm serious. I think if you put him with like how the Eagles use Hurts, I think you'll see something totally special.
Well, the new coordinator in Chicago came from Seattle, and he worked wonders with Geno Smith.
Yeah, so I think he could do. I think he has. I mean, and I'm a Michigan fan, whatever, and I'm telling you, like, go ahead. I know national champions. National champions. But I will say, like, that's like even as wild because C.J. Stroud never feared C.J. Stroud when Michigan. I never feared C.J. Stroud, but I feared Justin Fields.
Justin Fields was that dude at Ohio State.
I feared him because there was so much he can do. Like he can run. He runs a 4.3, and when he's rolling, when he's in a rhythm, he can really throw. He can throw the football when he's in a rhythm, and we saw that. I mean, though Washington was a disgrace on Thursday night, but we saw that Thursday night. Like he was on one, like for that nice little stretch. So I think he has potential.
Let me ask you this though.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, like if Chicago were to trade out of their pick, and get like 2 first-rounders, and you walk out of there, you keep Justin Fields, and you equip him now. He's got DJ Moore, and you equip him with Marvin Harrison, and then you picking up somebody else's pick in the first round again. You have 2 picks because you got Carolina's pick, and you still have number 9.
Because you get Marvin.
So you could get Marvin Harrison and Brock Bowers if you're Chicago to go with Justin Fields and DJ Moore. Are you telling me that you would not contemplate that?
I would. That's a good one. I would. I mean, so I ain't gonna lie to you. Once you do, I mean, the title for the title for Georgia is amazing. So he's amazing. I'm not knocking him.
But now you get
once you said Marvin, you already got me. Like I ain't gonna lie to you. That Marv, I ain't gonna lie. So I'm cute a buck. Like,
yeah, man.
I know I mentioned Jaden. I know I mentioned Jaden.
Could be lethal.
Yeah, I know I mentioned Jaden. We mentioned Jaden and Jaden Daniels and Drake May. But that number 2, like I don't ever want to not throw Marvin in that discussion too.
Oh no, Marvin Harrison could be the number 1 pick in the draft.
I don't ever not want to throw him. I don't ever not want to throw him in that discussion of a guy who could possibly be drafted by the Commanders.
No, listen. If the Commanders at 2 said we're not trading up, we're not trading out of our spot, and they announced Marvin Harrison at the podium, I'm not throwing no fit. I'm like,
okay, all right.
Are you crazy like that? Like I would tell.
I know folks will though.
Like, this guy is a phenom.
Yeah. So your thought process. Okay, so let's go. If it's not Caleb, so I'm gonna go back to it. If it's not Caleb, who they draft?
Bro, I'm telling you right now, man, they got options.
Okay.
There is no clear cut. I'm a Penn State dude, man, and I like Fachanu a lot.
I like him too. I
mean, he got your Nigerian background, and I get it. But Marvin Harrison, you can't just glaze over him.
I know, man. I know.
He's that dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this: Marvin Harrison, to me, from what I've seen, is the closest thing to one of the throwback big receivers like T.O.
I agree.
I mean, he's bigger than his dad. I mean, his dad was that dude, a technician on the field.
On the routes,
but Marvin Harrison Jr. has like that Randy Moss type stuff.
There you go. I'm serious.
Like, it's just a different level. And he's big. He's fast. He's a great kid, by the way. Just raised right.
Yeah.
That's what you want, man. You want a big physical specimen. So to me, Washington can't go wrong. You have a generational tackle, two of them, in Fashanu and Alt. Alt's that good
Yeah,
too, and
yeah,
he's a
he is. He's that
monster,
good. He's a
6'8",
monster.
330. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. You have Caleb Daniels and Drake May are not to be slept on. They're talents, but I would make those two guys probably. See, I think if you're Washington and you say we want to see what Sam Howell can give us, and with a whole setup around him, not just from an EB standpoint. I mean, the whole culture of the team around him is better.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, then you have to take a tackle. You have to.
I agree.
But if you're not going to do that, and you don't want to trade out of your position. Hell, man, listen, if you could trade back to 6 or something, say like the Patriots want Daniels or something, I would trade with the Patriots, and then you get their 6 and, and maybe another first rounder somehow, some way. Man, you could get some things here. I just think Washington is at a point, though, they need a franchise caliber player to build with, and it starts at the quarterback spot. And I just think that they're in a position, a once-in-a-lifetime position. Last time they were at number 2, they got the consolation prize. Call it what it is. I know RG won the Heisman, but he was not Andrew Luck. Everybody mother would tell you.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad consolation, and it was working out.
It was magical that year. Yeah.
Listen, this time, don't even give yourself a chance to get the consolation. Do what you have to do. Remember, they moved up to get Robert. You remember that, right?
Yeah, big time. The King's ransom.
They traded a good amount.
Yeah.
Fans don't talk about that. Fans don't say, well, they gave up too much for Robert because he was the rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Trade up, man. Trade up that one spot. If you got to give up one of your seconds this year and a second or a first from next year, I'm doing it to get Caleb Williams.
All right, I'm here with Hester Maxwell. Said they want Marvin Harrison, but they want us to move up and give up the house for Williams. No way. Do you agree with that?
But this is the thing, and I think this is a fair question to ask any Commanders fan.
Yeah.
What have our draft picks done?
Good.
Everybody keeps talking about you don't give up picks. You don't give up picks. What have the picks done? So it's not like you've been nailing them. And you've been in them spots a lot and you haven't nailed them. So what I'm saying is you don't know until you try. And my thing is, this is a quarterback that has not been under the radar. He's been front and center for several years now. And you have a chance with a new owner. It's almost like a book was written for this to happen. You have a new owner, a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, just cap space out, number 1 in cap space. 5 picks in the first 100, 6 in the top 106. You're telling me that you wouldn't put together 3 of them picks if you have to move up to 1? 1 is not 11 where they pick at all the time, or 13 or 15. 1 is 1 for a reason. And this guy is not the rest of this draft. He's different. And I'm sorry if people think he's weird, paints his fingernails, does fashion shoots in a dress. Hey, man, that's a young man getting paid. And that's NIL money. He's the first of his generation to get that kind of money. It's just different. I mean, it is what it is. Are these guys soft nowadays compared to when we were growing up? Hell yeah. But you know what? I will take a weird dude that can sling that ball around as opposed to a nice dude that can't.
Facts. Ray, this is what Ray said. Ray said, can you protect Caleb?
Yeah, you can protect him. And this is the other thing people have to remember. When you have dynamic skill sets at that position, you make your line look better. And I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City's offensive line is not good. Let's just call it like it is.
You see Wiley. You see how
and they're not good. But when you have a great talent behind you, it makes your line look better than what it is. Buffalo's offensive line is not good, but Josh Allen makes them look better. And ultimately you will get some linemen. I mean, Sam Cosmi's really good. Probably could have been a Pro Bowler this year. So you have somebody there. and you can go out with your cap money. You can go out and get 1 or 2 free agents to go on that line. And then you still have 2 second-round draft picks. So the one you can give up to move up to get, Caleb, you can use your other second-rounder on an offensive lineman. And now we're talking. You got a totally revamped offensive line.
All right, so let me ask you this question. I put this on Facebook and on Twitter as well, on X. I guess I should call it X. Who, in terms of like, do you feel that Kingsbury will do better than Bieniemy in next season?
I do, and I'm going to tell you why.
All right,
because he's got a coach who recognizes his talent.
Gotcha.
He's got a defensive coordinator in Witt who's going to play to Kingsbury's strength on offense. They're going to be lockstep in unison how they play situational football.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Gotcha.
Never saw situational football with Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera, and Eric. And that wasn't on Eric. That was the other 2 guys because they didn't do it when they had Scott Turner.
Yes.
It was never they never had all 3 phases play at the same time, ever. And I think you'll see that this year. So, yes, I think Kingsbury will do better by default because the setup around him is more conducive for him to do better.
Okay. All right. So, also, I think Ray said Chase. Ray's not on the show today, but she said Chase was still a good pick at the time, just like RG3, in my opinion. At the time, they were good picks. At the time, they were great picks. I think that's a factual.
No, he was wasted here.
Yeah.
Because Montez, all of them, John Allen, Deron Payne, it's the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Watch them guys this year. And the problem I have with this is, you did trade these guys away and get a second and third, so now you have more draft capital. But I damn sure would have loved to have seen Chase and Montez in Dan Quinn's system. Knowing
I would have too.
How he hides guys and maneuvers them. And Dan Quinn's never had tackles in Dallas, and yet that defense was always good. They just, you could run on them up the middle. But now you've got tackles. And I'm going to tell you who benefits the most from Dan Quinn's hire more than anybody on this roster. Do you know who it is?
You say Jamin? Or no, Forbes.
Yeah.
Forbes.
Forbes. Forbes benefits second.
Yeah, he does.
It's Jamin.
Yeah, Jamin. Yeah, I think Jamin does.
Jamin's going to be moved around.
Oh, I know.
Jamin's going to be coming off the edge now, going at quarterbacks.
Yes.
And Jamin is athletic. We know that.
Yeah, 4.4 speed, man.
Yeah, but I don't want him covering tight ends. Michael Parsons ain't covering no tight ends.
There you go.
Come on, man.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Let's not outthink ourselves here. Yeah. Let's turn him loose and let him play football. Yeah. He's gonna look like a different player this year.
No, I totally agree. Todd said, see how the line looked better with Jacoby. No position group will be perfect.
Great point. Todd's my dude, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's my dude. No, listen, that he's 100% correct. I mean, Jacoby came in, and I can say, not to knock Jacoby or Eric's offense for that matter, but I do think that when he was coming into games, it kind of caught defenses off guard a little bit.
Yeah.
Because now you're looking at something totally different from what you were playing against. So you're going to have a little bit of success. Now, if Jacoby was the starter and played multiple weeks, you may have seen some kinks in the armor somewhere.
Yeah.
But I do believe that if you have a quarterback that can make quick decisions and like good quick decisions and also be able to improvise, which Caleb does, I just think that those are the things that can keep you from not having to have this elite offensive line.
No, I agree. I think that, this is it depends. Like it's wild. It's just like what Shanahan did in 2012. The offensive line wasn't good. Like, I mean, you had Trent. You had Trent. Yeah, that's about it though. It was an undersized offensive line, but they did things to mask it. So I'm just interested to see what he does with this offense. So I want to gauge, as an offensive coordinator, what do you think he does next season? Do you think that do you have this team being more of a top 15 offense, top 10 offense, or do you think, like, fans have to be patient, wait it out? What is your expectations for this offense in for next season?
It depends on who the quarterback is,
That's
man.
True. That's true.
It does. If it's Sam Howell's, a top 20 offense. If it's Caleb Williams, it's a top 10 offense.
Ooh, off the
I
rip.
have no
I like
problem
it. I like it. I like you saying that.
problem saying that. I ain't saying they're going to be number one, but
Yeah,
they
no, top
definitely will
10.
be a top 10 unit because last time I looked, man, this is the thing that people have to remember. You have weapons at wide receiver already. Legit weapons. Jahan wasn't used right this year. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it.
Yeah,
Wasn't used at all.
I don't know what's happening to
Jahan, we were talking about Jahan his rookie season that he might be better than Terry.
I know. I said this. Hey, I gotta look. I said this on I was in a fantasy football draft, and I told this dude like, "Yo, Jahan about to. I'm telling you, Jahan about to be better than Terry." And my boys have been blasting me ever since the whole year because of the way it panned out.
He wasn't used properly. This guy's phenomenal, man. You know that. You know I'm biased, but I'm real about it.
No. I like Jahan. You know, I like Jahan. I like Jahan.
He's one of the greats from my school, man. That guy can ball. He's a technician as far as route running. His confidence was just shook from day one, not getting the ball, and then when he was getting, he was dropping. But that wasn't Jahan. I don't know who that was. So you get confidence back, and Kingsbury knows how to use these guys with explosive plays. You get a guy that can put the ball out there. You get a guy that can hit them in stride. Him, Terry, and Curtis. I'm telling you, man, there's something there. If they can re-sign Curtis and keep him, I'm telling you, they're loaded at the receiver spot. If you got a gunslinger out there that can get them the ball in right places, this offense will look explosive instantly. We all know what they need on this offense more than anything. They got to get a tight end. We know that. Yeah.
All right. So Paul said this though. He said, "Well, Cole Turner will be good."
I like Cole a lot.
I do like Cole. I will, Paul.
Cole needs to get some weight on him. I mean, he's just, you know, with the way they were trying to use him in this offense was, you know, he's not a blocking tight end. He's not that guy. Bates is more your blocker. But even Bates had a down year. They've got talent in the tight end room, but they don't have a dog. And you get yourself a dog at tight end, and it's on.
But I see to Paul's point, and I agree with you about what Turner needs to do. I like his catching ability, and I like that he gets open athletic. And he's athletic. He's an elusive tight end. He's one of those tight ends that he's a new age tight end. He really is. He's the new age tight end.
But you know what he is? He's a converted receiver to tight end. He's just learning the nuances and intricacies. And I thought he was going to excel in Eric's offense because Kansas City offense is really, you know, predicated on Travis Kelce. But I think what I had to understand, Wole, was Travis Kelce's first ballot Hall of Famer. And we were just expecting somebody to get the ball a lot. Travis Kelce's that guy, man. That's that. You know, forget the whole Taylor Swift thing, man. Travis Kelce been that dude.
He been that dude, man. He been that. He put in that work. Real talk. He put in that work. It's just that I wish. That's one thing I did wish that Eric did was like. I wish he showcased Cole. I mean, I know Cole Turner isn't like the best blocker, but I don't think Logan's the best blocker, to be honest with you. But that's another conversation. But I just feel like I would have liked to see him utilize him in that situation because I felt like, to be honest with you, from preseason, even when Logan had his concussion, I thought Sam Howell and Cole Turner had good chemistry. I thought they worked really well together. So when Logan came back, it was more all right. Bates is obviously the blocking tight end, and Turner and Thomas is now he's the receiving tight end. So it's like, all right, there's no real room for Cole Turner. But I feel like, and I'll say it, I thought that Cole Turner was just as good or even better than Logan Thomas, to be honest with you, as a pass catching tight end.
Well, I'm gonna give you a homework assignment.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna say his name.
Go for it.
But there's a tight end coming out of Penn State that I'm telling you. Every time I tell you there's one coming from there, they end up being something.
All right, I got you.
They got a tight end that so the kid Warren who's coming back is all Big Ten guy.
Yeah.
But the second tight end probably had more physical attributes than Warren, who's all Big Ten.
All Big Ten, yeah.
And he had I think he had 7 touchdowns this past year. But I'm telling you, he will remind you of tight end that came out last year and from Penn State that I want to say went to Jacksonville. He's a rookie, but he's really good.
I'm trying to think
I'm
about.
telling you, this guy. I'll let you do the homework. This guy is just.
I'm looking him up. Michigan got some good tight ends too, FYI. I'm just letting you know.
Oh no, Michigan got some dogs. I'm not gonna even. I'm gonna say this first.
Go ahead.
Just you heard it here first.
Go ahead.
Watch Harbaugh draft running back.
I know he's getting them. He's getting local. I know that. That's a given.
Done deal.
I told my brother this off the rip. I was like, and he's
deal.
gonna because Eckler's already on that. He's already on that iffy deal. He can get
Eckler's gone.
He's strong. He's strong.
Yeah, I'm saying Eckler will be gone, and then
Eckler will be gone.
Will be your dude.
Corum, Blake Corum. I know he's getting because Corum is gonna probably projected 3rd, 4th rounder. So he's gonna get him in that. I know he's getting Corum. I know. Like I know the rip. Like Corum will be the starting running back for the LA Chargers.
I do believe that. I truly believe that. I think he's gonna litter that roster with some of his Michigan guys.
Okay. Oh, Lake, definitely. I know how he's gonna roll. Look, I know how he's gonna roll. He already got Roman, he already he's already working.
The defensive tackle, I could see that.
He get all of them. Hey, Lake, I'm not playing. I know he look. If Justin Herbert wasn't his quarterback, he would get McCarthy.
He would. I still told somebody McCarthy might be a 3rd rounder. You still might
McCarthy.
take him.
I mean, I said this. I like McCarthy. I said this. I'm honest. Like folks were saying first, like McCarthy is a 3rd rounder, but he is not ready right now to.
He's a 3rd rounder. Maybe
he is not. 4th. Yes. If you watch,
and if he's sitting there and I'm the Chargers, I would contemplate that.
He would think about it. He would
knows your system.
Yeah, he would think about it out of loyalty. You know what I'm saying? He would definitely think about it out of loyalty. But yeah, there's some guys that he would take in a second. Like, don't get it. Like, but Blake
corner. I want the corner here.
Yeah. He probably get the corner too if he get a chance to get him too. He get the corner. If he get a chance.
I like him. I do.
But Blake Corum definitely. Blake Corum is going to. I know he's local, but he's definitely going to. He's going to LA. Blake Corum is going to LA.
Blake Corum would look. You talking about looking good in somebody's offense? Blake Corum would look great in Kliff Kingsbury's offense.
Yeah, he's so tough, man.
Blake he Corum is, but he got speed though. People don't understand that. He will take it to the house on you.
He can take it to the house. Yeah, he's got good vision. That's the one thing Blake got. He got great vision. Oh no, I'm with you. But I'm excited. Like, you know what? Like I said, I wasn't uber excited about Kingsbury as an OC, but I'm like, again, like being a fan of the squad. I'm gonna give everything a chance. I'm not part of that like toxic Washington Commanders culture where you're waiting for somebody to fail. Like, I'm not into that. Like, I want to be successful.
That's the young culture. The young culture is, and they get mad at me sometimes when I say it. The young culture is used to losing. So unfortunately,
I agree, man.
Unfortunately, when all you know is losing, guess what you become?
A loser.
Yeah, and you have a losing mentality where nothing is ever good enough.
True.
We know that it hasn't worked for years and years and years, but you know what? I remember when they were struggling a little bit before they got Joe Gibbs. I'm not old. Yeah. And Joe Gibbs was about to get fired. Yeah. His first go round, it wasn't working. He wanted to bring that Dan Coryell air raid offense here, and it wasn't working. And they started off, I think, like 0-4, 0-6 or whatever. Yeah. And then he decided, you know what? This is more of a physical team. I got a line. I might just need to just run the football. And that's what they did, and that became their blueprint. So I say all this because I remember all the bad before the great, and then I obviously remember the bad that we've been living with here. Yeah. So it's coming, man. I mean, you just got to give it a chance, and I want to say this too.
Yeah.
They've always tried to make a splash, and those splashes how to work out. You got Spurrier, you got Shanahan, you got all these splashes, and it didn't work out. So now you got a guy that is well respected around the league. Ron Rivera was well respected, but I'm going to say this. Ron Rivera was never really truly respected as an X's and O's coach.
Yeah.
He was respected as a good man.
Yeah. Yes. This is true.
Dan Quinn is respected as far as his X's and O's on that damn defense. Make no mistake about it.
Agreed.
And he's liked quite a bit. And I think he's smart enough. He said it yesterday to us in the media room. He said it. he understands what he did wrong in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He understands what he did right in Seattle and wrong. And he understood that after 8 years running that same system that he ran in Seattle defensively, in Atlanta as well, he had to change because the offenses had modernized themselves. He said, so he's proven to people over the last 3 years in Dallas that he can adapt. He said, so now as a second-time coach, he's going to change some things that didn't work for him. And some of the stuff he said did work for him. He won't even use that. I just think that he came across to me yesterday in that room as so honest, but not about himself. It was about Adam Peters with him, about Josh Harris, about Kingsbury, about Witt. He kept talking up his guys. And I'm not throwing Ron under the bus, but Ron definitely was about Ron. You can see that it was Ron's way. That's just the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
So now they may make a move that may not have the big splash. This one might be the one that works because of that.
Yeah, and to your point, Marcus says, "What's up, family?" The one thing I love about our coaches and front office is they are on the same page.
Yes, they are, Marcus, and that is a great point. And that's what I walked away from there yesterday. Got back here, Janine was like, "Hey," she said, "What did you think?" And I'm like, I as a former athlete, you too, you played. You know when you really will run through a wall for somebody.
True.
And you know when you will avoid that wall from somebody. Them jokers were avoiding walls over the last 2 years. I mean, come on, man. Let's just be real with it.
It seemed like it.
For them coaches.
It seemed like it. It seemed like it. It seemed like
going back. It's practice too hard, and guys ain't putting me in the right position. Well, you gonna run through a wall for this dude because he has that kind of verbiage, and he was just saying little things that made me know that he relates to the players as far as the way he spoke. You could tell he's down. You can tell. You can tell.
I can tell. I can tell. I definitely can tell. I see it. I can see it. Oh, Paul said late tight end, number 16 for Penn State.
There he is. I'm not gonna say the name because I promised my boy every time I come on here I don't want to just go Penn State.
Yeah, I know, because Lake always listing off some Penn State players, man.
I mean, we everywhere. That's just I can't help that. We everywhere, There's several of them in the Super Bowl, but I mean, I ain't gonna even bring that up.
Oh man, Lake, you a trip, bro. You are a trip. I'm gonna read one from Todd, and then we can kind of end the show. Todd said, "Yes, the young fan culture is toxic. Don't have enough goodwill stored." I will say this. I want to add this. It's wild because I said this before, and like you went back to what Joe Gibbs dealt with. I'll even go something that's current. I remember the teams being bad with Trey Johnson, Henry Ellard, and company, and I felt like the fan base was still rooting those dudes on. Like they weren't turning on them, and I don't know if it's social media. I'm not gonna. I mean, obviously that's an element, but I just felt like we've had some bad teams in DC. And even with the bad teams, I felt like the fan base was still supportive of those bad teams.
Well, listen, man, I don't want to, I got a 16-year-old, and I don't want to pile on to the generation, but the young generation is a participation trophy generation. And unfortunately, because of that, they know what mediocre is because they are mediocre. I'm just calling it. I'm saying it. So when you know what it looks like, it's you think you can be mediocre and great at the same time. That ain't how that works. And it goes back to the whole, straying in sports here, but that whole LeBron Mike, analogy, and LeBron's the GOAT and he's got the stats and all this, but he's got many epic fails that I witnessed firsthand. I've never seen that with Mike. Have you?
Fails? I'm just saying I seen him get knocked out in the first round.
Did you ever see Kobe fail?
Yeah, I seen Kobe fail.
You saw Kobe fail one time.
I seen him fall in Utah, the era.
First year.
And I know people got
Detroit. They
failed. Yes.
They fell, but I think that was some internal him and Shaq beef.
Yeah, because he was gunning like I don't know if that finals. I remember that finals. I was mad at him. I was mad at him. He was gunning.
Okay, so I don't look at Kobe as the GOAT. It's Mike. When did Mike fail?
When did he fail? He failed in the first. He failed a couple times in the first round. In the first round,
Were those
we call it first
failures
round?
when his team was
See, why we always
World
gotta add
Championship?
something though? Like when LeBron played the freaking Spurs in the finals, like that team
That
wasn't
wasn't a
supposed to be
failure
there.
to me, though.
Okay, I'm about to say because a
He
lot of
did
people use it as a
everything he was
failure.
supposed to. They just
All
weren't
right, all
better
right.
than them.
Okay.
But a failure is the Maverick series.
That's a failure.
A failure
That's a
is
real
the
failure.
other
I'm honest.
San Antonio series.
No,
A failure is
that team was better. That San Antonio team was better.
listen. This Laker basketball team right now, they're not devoid of talent. I don't care.
Nah,
What
they got
nobody
Darvin.
says.
The problem is they got Darvin Ham as a coach. That's the problem. You see his rotation? Like you play ball.
Okay,
Like you play
see,
ball. Like come on, stop it.
You are a Laker. You're a Laker guy. I know this.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so come on, man. I'm just asking you.
You're right that you got talent. I agree with you. I totally
If you're
agree
the
with you.
GOAT, your talent should be playing even better.
They should look, but sometimes look, man. Mike needed Phil Jackson, bro. Doug Collins wasn't doing it for him.
How about Phil Jackson needed? How about Phil Jackson needed?
All right, they
Mike?
both. Well,
Kobe
needed Phil.
Shaq.
Kobe needed. I agree with your points, but Kobe needed Phil because he wasn't winning with Rudy Tomjanovich or he had what's his name too? I can't think. He had didn't he have Dan? Not Dan Tony was in LA. But yeah, Rudy T. He failed.
Rudy Tomjanovich. And he had several coaches.
And that's a champion. And that's a championship coach. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying, like sometimes I'm just saying, coaches, you need something. I ain't gonna say you gotta be the best coach in the world, but you can't be no Darvin Ham type coach. Like I'm saying, like bro, like your rotations change every 50 seconds, dude.
Do you think LeBron has something to do with that?
This Darvin, man. This Darvin. I think LeBron has something to do with Darvin feeling pressure to like change up at this point in time.
No, I'm saying, do you think LeBron has something to do with Darvin Ham being hired in the first place?
Yeah, I agree.
Of course he did.
That I agree.
Listen, if you're gonna play GM, you're gonna have to live with the
consequences. No, I agree. Look, I ain't gonna argue with that. Like I agree with that. That I agree with. Like LeBron ain't the best. LeBron ain't a great GM. I'll tell you. Like I'll tell you, I'll be the first to tell you that. Like he ain't the greatest GM. He think he a good GM. He ain't a good GM. You know what I'm saying? Because he wanted Russ. He wanted Russ.
And it's not even hate. Like yesterday. No joke, bro. I know we straying here. This good stuff.
It's okay.
Yesterday,
we shooting the breeze. Go ahead, bro.
Yesterday, David Aldridge, that's my boy.
Yeah.
We were talking about our top fives.
Yeah.
And he mentioned his top five. And he had Mike, Kareem, Wilt.
I don't like his list already.
It was Mike, Kareem.
I don't like his list.
Wilt.
Already.
I think Russell.
No Magic.
And Magic.
Oh, he better have Magic.
But LeBron wasn't on his top five.
That's fine. You don't have that, LeBron. I got my own list.
I mean, LeBron's on my top five. He's on my top five. But I just think, when you talk about the GOAT, that guy has to be flawless, man. And to me, it took me a while to get on the whole Tom Brady GOAT thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, did it really? Yeah, it took a while too.
Because I was like, he got the system, they're winning, but he proved when he left, went to Tampa, bang, they won it. And his team fell apart up there in New England.
That defense was good though, man. That defense was good in Tampa though too that year. That defense was good too, but you're right. Though.
Yeah. So you talking about the GOATs, like from boxing. How can you not say that Floyd isn't one of them?
Yeah.
But people say he didn't fight anybody. Not true at all. Not true.
Now, Pretty Boy fought. Like the beginning, he fought. He's in the conversation the greatest of all time. I'm never going to I'm not going to mention that.
He's flawless. That's what I'm saying. You don't see
flawless. He's flawless. Yeah, he's flawless. You can use political stuff. Yeah, he's flawless. I mean, I'll never throw shade on Floyd as a boxer. You'll never hear me do that. But I will say, like, I mean, folks need to put more respect on Magic Johnson's name when they talk about GOATs. That's all I need to do.
I mean, that's one of my all-time favorites.
Not you, like, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, like, I'll be seeing these little lists, and I don't be seeing enough Magic. I don't see enough Magic, man.
All I hear from these young guys is that Mike and Magic and these guys was playing against plumbers and fifth grade school teachers.
That's Gilbert Arenas starting that stuff, and I love Gilbert. Gilbert be wild.
Okay, but you know what I say to that, though?
What?
If that means that they were plumbers and school teachers too. If you're going to say that that's what they were, because now you already giving them credit by taking credit from them.
True, that's true.
Just acknowledge what you saw.
Yeah.
Again, man, and I keep going to this point. This is my last point. Don't tell me what LeBron would have done in the 80s and 90s because he's so much bigger and stronger than people. Nah, man, the game was different. You're not if they got you banging on the floor now crying, oh my God, what would have happened then? I'm gonna flip it. What would Jordan do in today's game with no hand checking and no defense?
Yeah, you don't know. You never know. I will say
No,
this though.
I do know.
Yeah,
he's gonna average 40.
No, I would say this. I would say this though. Like this is the thing that I think errors. I think somebody had it broken down perfectly, and I kind of like their acknowledgement of GOAT. Like who's the GOAT of your era? Like that's how I like or your decade or whatever. Like to me,
that's fair.
In the 90s, Jordan is the GOAT in the 90s, right? Because for real, the 80s, you can say whoever, like Magic, Bird, whatever. Magic had most of the rings, so I'm saying Magic. I'm a Magic dude. I'm biased. And then you could take it because I think that, like, this is one I will say, like, and I think, and I've seen it because I coach kids, whatever. I always say, like, and I do agree with Gilbert Arenas when he breaks this down about today's basketball players. They are more skilled than any era of basketball, like skill-wise.
Without question.
By far, the stuff that they can do.
They're globetrotters.
They are freaking amazing.
Yes.
So in terms of the skill, yes, they are more talented than any era, but that's evolution. There's more talent than any era of basketball. The thing that they lack, and I think to your point, I think when you're talking about how Jordan can still score, and he could. I think a dog can score, or a dog can be a dog in multiple eras if you're that skilled and you have the will. I agree with that. I do think that Jordan and like many other players, even in the 80s, Isaiah Thomas, these dudes have the mental to match the skill. And I think a lot of these players don't have the mental. Like, and that's it. I'm not calling them dumb. I'm not saying that. I don't think they have the seat. They're not as they're not. Yeah, exactly. They don't have the mental in terms of situational basketball, when to do this, when to do that, or how to lean on a player, or this, that, and the other, like the other players did. And I think that's the difference.
Well, you know, the thing too is, unfortunately, free agency has watered down the game.
That too.
And, you know, those teams in the 80s and 90s and even 70s before that, they were the same group of guys. You just drafted and added to your group of guys, and it was the same guys every year.
Yeah.
So, of course, when people talk about Jordan failing against Boston, well, Boston was freaking reigning champions. Them and the Lakers ran the league then.
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Unfortunately for Boston, the reason why they fell apart and came back down to earth and didn't continue the dynasty was because Len Bias and because of Reggie Lewis. They had two players die within 3 years.
They were ready.
That killed them. I mean, sorry to say it like that, but it literally destroyed what they could do. Because let's face it, you and I both know if those guys
Reggie Lewis is mean too, though.
There was no Bulls.
Yeah, they were no Bulls. Not real talk. And I'll be real, like obviously Len Bias was amazing. But I actually watched, like I got the chance to, I didn't get a chance to watch Len Bias like that.
Oh, I remember Len.
Yeah, you remember? So I watched Reggie Lewis though. Like I watched Reggie Lewis, and Reggie Lewis was
that dude, man.
He was smooth.
Two-way player too.
Yeah, Reggie Lewis was smooth. Yes. I used to like, and then when he passed, I couldn't like, but he was smooth. And that was like he was the next, because Bird was already kind of grooming him like that. I remember like
Reggie Lewis, the year he passed in the offseason, but that year before, he led the Celtics in scoring.
Yeah, because
the torch had already been
passed, but they were already ready. Like I remember, they were ready to give it to him already.
Yeah,
and he was getting better every year too. Like he was getting better every year. Like
So that's what's killed the game now, is that you have free agency, so guys can link up with their own guys. You can take the money as opposed to show loyalty. Mm-hmm. It's just changed everything, and I think that what's happened is people think a mediocre player is an all-star, which makes them great. And I'm like, man, y'all, you can't throw that word "great" around to everybody, man. Right now in the NBA, there's 3 to 4 great players. Yeah. And when I say that, I mean
I know what you mean.
Skill set and all that stuff, but I'm talking about on a night in and night basis. You're in trouble. And to me, I still put LeBron on there.
Yeah.
Steph is definitely
on there. Definitely.
You're gonna get it. You just it's coming.
Yeah,
but then you have some young guys. Like I'm a big Halliburton fan.
Yeah,
I love him.
He's a great
love him. But man, I'm just saying, football the same way. It's the same way. I think this year was special in the NFL to see, CJ and Houston.
Oh, it's great for real.
Just to see the emergence of some of these next wave of young players who want to be good and great.
Yeah.
And hopefully Washington gets one, man. Seriously.
I agree. I shout out to CJ Stroud because he changed my mind about Ohio State quarterback. So I'm gonna just give him a shout out because he proved me wrong. I ain't gonna hold you. I did not think he was gonna be.
That joke is cold. I mean, but just to see like the emergence of Jordan Love, they ain't even think.
Oh man, all right. So okay, real quick. Now I'm about to end it, but I do want to mention that though. So it does go to Sam Howell. Like, so if you draft, this is the thing. Patrick Mahomes had a whole year, under Alex Smith, then took over the year after.
Yeah, he did.
Awesome. What's wrong with under Kingsbury with Sam Howell starting year one and having whoever the backup, whoever the quarterback is, and have them sit and watch him?
Nothing. And like I said, I'm okay if they decide they want to still go with Sam, because I think he regressed, but the franchise regressed. It wasn't just Sam that regressed. They lost 7 straight, man. Yeah. I mean, everybody regressed. So you can't hang your hat on him. He's not the fault. I know I saw times during the season where that guy showed me that you can build with him. Yeah. This is the difference. To build with Sam Howell, you have to have a line. You have to.
You have to. Yeah, you have to.
You have
like
to.
Jalen Hurts, you have to have a line.
If you told me that their line is A1, then I can go with Sam.
Yes, I agree with you.
But if you don't have an A1 line, then you need an elite quarterback talent to offset that. So that's the dilemma that they're in right now. But I'm telling you, from a ticket standpoint, from a conversation all over the airways, you get Caleb Williams. That first game next year will be humming. Trust me.
True. Okay. Now this is what really like. Now you open my thought process with something else about this whole regime. But wouldn't it be anti-Snyder regime if this team didn't go sexy and get the quarterback and say they went offensive line? Would that be a sign you say, you know what, this definitely is a change? We're not trying to sell tickets. We're just trying to build a team the best way we think we can build.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It would be, but this is the difference, though. Yeah. There hasn't been a quarterback with this kind of talent.
I agree with you.
Period. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was the 11th?
Was he 15th or something like that?
It was like I think he was like 11 or 12.
Yeah, so he was mid. He was mid. Yeah.
Nobody knew who Patrick Mahomes was going to be. And I agree with Paul just said that. He kind of took the words out of my mouth. You gotta get the fan base ready to come back into that arena, and they need somebody. One thing we do know instantly with Caleb, he would be polarizing. You either love him or you hate him.
I know.
And one thing I do know about this fan base, all you gotta do is come out game 1 and throw 3-4 touchdowns and get a W. People who hate him will love him.
Love him. Yeah, they will.
Now you got your franchise quarterback or potential franchise quarterback who's from the area. It's a story that can be told. And again, man, I mean, new owner. I agree. If I'm spending $6 billion, I ain't trying to listen, man, I got to get some of that money back, man. That's a lot of money. I mean, seriously, man, if I got to get somebody that people coming out to see him because his hair rainbowed like Dennis Rodman, but you buying a ticket, I mean, and he's good. Don't get me wrong. This kid's good. Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
No, I'm with you. I am totally with you. Hey, Will Lake, man, thanks for being on. Before I let you go, how can cats catch your content and also follow you on social media, my man?
It's easy, man. They can just check me out on social media, Lake Lewis on X, formerly Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, at Lake Lewis Jr. You can go to sportsjourney.com. You can check out, the After Practice podcast, subscribe to that or watch it on YouTube or on Sports Journey. And then you can check me out locally on Channel 7 there, ABC, doing some inside stuff there. And end of the month, to finally come out the other one. So
okay, that's what I want to hear. So that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. And when you got another live thing to do, let me know. I'm ready to rock and roll and support.
Yeah, I'm gonna be it's funny. I'm gonna be in contact with somebody tomorrow and trying to get like a kind of like a not so much a recap show because it's not good to talk about, but just where they are now and how the fan base should be excited. So yeah, man, we're gonna put another one together, and we might have you up there with me this time.
All right, bet. You know what time it is. I'm there to support. You know how I am. So it is.
It's tequila.
Yeah, inside joke, folks. Yeah, I love me some tequila. Ain't no inside joke. I love me some tequila. All right. We got it in that night.
I don't even remember that night.
All right, Lake, man. Good talking to you, man.
All right, fam. Do your thing, man.
I appreciate you. Oh, man. That's my guy, Lake, man. Oh, man. Make sure you follow him on X. That's at Lake Lewis. And on IG at Lake Lewis Jr. Great show. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Thank you, Paul, man. Appreciate you, homie, man. Paul, I like to hear that you all in for Caleb now. I love it. You a Caleb believer now, man. I love it, man. I love it. Taj, man, appreciate you, homie, man. Appreciate you, my dude. All right, man. Real quick, let's tie up some loose ends. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Also follow us on X at Urban Sports Scene, IG at Urban Sports Scene, and like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel as well. Click the red subscribe button and like this video. And also check out the home of the Urban Sports Scene, Amplifier Media, at amplifiermedia.com. And this show can be found on the Podcast DC app. Download the Podcast DC app to hear all of the Amplifier shows as well as other great content. Anyway, I appreciate you all for tuning in. This has been a dope show. Appreciate the homie Lake. Appreciate all the commenters, man. You all are the real MVPs. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Side for ages. You dig? Deuces. I am out.